one final question. So you are, I mean, Aldea, we're trying to sort of brand this new, all these new leaders, Latino leaders that we're interviewing as like a new generation of Latino leaders in the country. And in that position, you know, a position that you've thought about being in, you visualized yourself in for 3 years, um, or longer, probably much longer. You know, what advice would you give for, you know, people who are aspiring to be the next Manny Guzman? What should young Latino aspiring to be?
Woo, that's I can talk all day about that.
Go for it.
I would say number one, there's never a right time to run. There's always something, a job that you feel secure in. Perfect example was me in this race right now. Before declaring for this race, I was pleasantly enjoyed by the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. I was on track to be, maybe the executive director of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party, right? I was comfortable in my job, but I knew I had a higher calling, and I left my good paying job on a leap of faith. And a lot of ways, this is what jumping into this life is all about. It's about taking that leap of faith. It's about betting $100 when you barely got a penny to your name, and hoping that it all works out. Because I'm a huge believer that intention is everything, and the universe rewards your intention. So whether or not you're successful in your first attempt or not, you build the building blocks of the foundation to be able to run and do other things. So I would say number one, there's never a right time. Now's the time, jump and do it. Number two, find a mentor. Find somebody that an old head, quote unquote, that's what I call him, an old head. My mentor was Angel Figueroa. He was my old head. He was somebody who, in 2013 and 2012, when I was deciding to run for school board, he was my campaign manager, but more importantly, he saw something in me then that I didn't see in myself. So he was the first person to plant that seed in my head that, yeah, you can really do this, Manny. You can do this and do it well. So I would say that's the second thing, find a mentor. Number three, build your network. Build your network. Start small, but build it. And your network is only as good as you putting it to work. So, it wouldn't have done me any good to have had network with Governor Wolf or had network with Senator Bob Casey if I then didn't put that to work and ask them for their endorsement when I was running for office. And so that's key. And then fourth and finally, I would say, believe in yourself. And I know that that's easier said than done because we're all human. There are times that I didn't believe in there are times that I'm like, Manny, what are you doing, man? And honestly, yesterday morning was one of those times. Yesterday morning, I couldn't sleep the night before. I could not sleep. And yesterday, and I'm there and I'm like, Manny, if you want to get out, now's the time to do it. And those voices are still going to be there. Those voices of insecurity, those voices of self-doubt, those voices that say that you're not good enough, that you're not well-spoken enough. If you have an accent, that your accent is too heavy. Those voices are always going to be there. But you got to talk to yourself and say, shut up. I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do it. I don't care what happens. I'm going to quit my job and run for office. I'm going to knock on 200 doors until my knuckles are raw. I'm going to wear my shoes out until my shoes are talking. I'm going to do this even when people say that I can't. And that's how you have to speak to yourself when you're in this, because the truth is, Nigel, when you're running, yeah, you have a support system, you have a campaign manager, you have people who support you, but at the end of the day, your name is the one that's on that ballot. Your name is the one that people, when you're knocking on their door, they're asking for. And you need to take personal pride in that. Take personal pride that it's not easy to go out, and I really feel for candidates in Pennsylvania, because now that we're going into a new election cycle, right? What are these candidates going to do in a pandemic when they have to go out here and get signatures? I don't know. But I remember being that candidate, having to be in the freezing cold, just trying to get 300 signatures just so that I could appear on the ballot. And it's tough. And most of the time you're doing it by yourself, Nigel. You know, and especially if you're running for like a lawyer, if you're running for like a school board or a city council position, most of the time it's you, the elements, and the doors. And, you know, I've had people slam doors in my faces. I've had guys pull guns out on me. I've had guys pull guns out on my volunteers. But it's persistence and perseverance. And lastly, I'd say if there's any, and I'd love for you to put this in there, but if there's any Latino in the Commonwealth who wants to run for office, that they please should consider reaching out to me. And I have no problem, you know, being that open book and trying to help people as much as I can. In a lot of ways, I had to kind of learn this shit on the fly. That's why I made so many mistakes. That's why if you look at my history, Nigel, I ran in the wrong district in city council here in the city of Reading. Even though I won my race, I ran in the wrong district. You know, this last summer, when, you know, I had some negative news stories put out about me, about some things that I said when I was a young, immature idiot. You know, these things are going to happen. They're gonna pop up. Life has a way of slapping you, slapping you silly. I mean, I truly believe that when you least expect it, smack. You're like, oh my God, what happened, right? It really has a way of waking you up, and if you let it, it'll beat you down. You know, I could have easily gave up, and it's easy to give up. But when people want to run for office, hopefully it's not just to hold the office, but because they want to do some actual good. And that's what you have to keep in your mind when you're out there campaigning and talking to folks, is the good that you want to do, and use that as the driving force to get you over the finish line.